everybody. Welcome to the South Australian Sports Show. I hope you can stay with us for the next hour. We've got plenty coming up on the show. And as always, my co-host, Barry Curtin. Baz, how are you?
Fantastic.
You know, last week we were talking about the showdown, which has now been and gone. And, of course, we know the Crows won quite comfortably, 10-goal win over Port Adelaide. And I don't think people were too surprised. I mean, Crows, to their credit, played really well, but they've also had a 7-year head start coming into the league. So
physically bigger.
Well, we're going to get a couple of Port girls in later on the show to have a chat with them on how they saw it. We talked about, instead of it being called the showdown so they can form their own identity, it was just an idea we were discussing. We said, we'll come back to that. I gave it a bit of thought because we could. I like the cup idea. So you play for a cup, or it could be a trophy, but you know, in Europe in the soccer they have cups that they play for. So I threw out the idea of a cup, but we couldn't quite work out what the names were. So I went away and thought, what about the Von Williams Barb Curley Cup?
There's one. Two
prominent women that have been massive in their support for football. I know people say, well, yeah, they married into it. Yeah, they married into it, but they did much more than that. The players went round and had meals. They were at all games. They were the two big-name ladies of football through that time.
I agree.
And I think it would be a great way of acknowledging them moving forward. I know people would argue, but they didn't play footy. They did a lot more than just that.
That's right. That's
so,
right. A lot of sacrifice there.
Your thoughts?
Oh, look, that sounds like a great idea. The only problem with it is now, and that is a very good idea, in fact, because Jenny Williams, in fact, presented the medal to Chelsea Randall on the weekend, on Friday night. Doing
some commentary for 5AA.
And did some commentary as well.
Doing a good job.
That works in well. I know we couldn't think of the other one, but Barb Curley, wow, that's up there. That's a great idea. The only problem they've got now, can they change it, Phil? Because I looked up and there I saw it, Showdown 1. Is it?
I think they could change it. Now, I think if we're at Showdown 100, it's a bit harder now because you've built a tradition. So I'm saying they could quickly get it and build it into a tradition.
That's a fair point, mate.
All right, just something to play around with. When's a contract and when it's not a contract?
So
if a player's got a 2-year contract and he doesn't want to be there anymore. So we're all forgiving on the I want to go home to the family. I don't think anyone doesn't dispute that. But when it's, I don't want to be here anymore, I want to go and just play somewhere else because I don't like the club, less forgiving. But then the clubs will go, well, we understand because it's the family, but if you just want to go, we need a little bit extra for that. But still breaking the contract. And then the clubs go, yeah, but you're breaking the contract. They go, well, hang on a minute, I don't know how many times clubs have broken contracts, be it with players or coaches,
exactly right.
and then gone, oh, well, we'll negotiate a figure out instead of the full figure. So I'm just wondering, what's the value of a contract now?
Well, that's dead right, because, you know, there's talk now about players being traded while still under contract. So, but you don't hear about that side of it. You only hear about the player wanting to go. So, yeah, Horne-Francis is an interesting one, but he... I think he always wanted to be on the in Adelaide from day one. I mean, and he had an unsettled year. So
we can't blame him at the moment, mate. He's a 19-year-old kid. He's from Adelaide, and you go, the club he went to, they sack a coach mid-season. Now they're not sure who the coach is going to be with what's happening at the moment. We can talk about that maybe at the end of the show, but I have great empathy for him going, I just want to go home. I came here thinking this was going to be a good couple of years for me. Couldn't have been worse. You know, and that's not, I'm not disrespecting North Melbourne. It wasn't a good environment.
And he wasn't happy. Clearly wasn't happy. So even with his body language on the ground.
And I think most clubs are understanding on that. If you're not happy, you're not going to play your best footy. We can't force you to stay here if it's family.
No, that's right.
But if he then came out and said, I'm going back to Adelaide and I'm going to play for Port Adelaide, I'd be a little bit, oh, hang on a minute, mate. Doesn't sound like you're going back for family reasons. If you said, I'm going back to Adelaide and I'd prefer to play with Port Adelaide, you go, oh, well, he's going back for family reasons. But if you say you're going back for family reasons and you nominate the club you're playing for, then I'm probably a bit suspicious.
I think this has been going on for a little while.
Oh, I think it has. And look, good on him. I don't begrudge him that. And I'm sure that the Crows will have a chat with him. And there's nothing wrong with saying that's his preference. And I think if you're realistic, the Crows are working better now to becoming a destination club. I think Nixie and the people around them have started to put that in place. But Port Adelaide clearly has been the destination club out of the two, and the numbers show that. The players that they've got show that. That wasn't my point. It was just more, you've got to be careful what you say as to how that impacts on you getting to where you want to go.
And it's reported that you said. That's the other thing.
Please.
You know, did he say it?
Please.
That's the other thing.
He probably did not. You know? We need to get over to Nina for the sporting news. Nina, what have you got for us?
Thanks, guys, and welcome back to another week in sport. Well, South Aussie basketball fans are grinning from ear to ear after the Adelaide 36ers defeated NBA powerhouse the Phoenix Suns on Monday in Arizona. It was a historic moment for the home side, becoming the first NBL club to beat a US team in a preseason game. Underdogs from the start, the 36ers were led by new imports Craig Randall II and Robert Franks, who both scored over 30 points. Randall was particularly impressive, landing 9 of the team's 23 three-pointers, an impressive feat playing against a stacked team of NBA superstars like Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Incredibly, the Suns' 2022 salaries total a whopping $269 million. For perspective, the 36ers combined salaries total just $1.7 million. It goes to show that money can't buy you happiness. The 36ers will play the Oklahoma City Thunder on Friday before returning home to rejoin the regular NBL season. Continuing on with basketball, and the FIBA Women's World Cup finished up on Saturday in Sydney, with Team USA beating out China for the top spot. It was a 4th consecutive gold and 11th overall for the US side, who won by 22 points in front of a crowd of 15,000 fans. Australia took out the bronze after defeating Canada by 30 points, but it was a bittersweet win for the Opals, who narrowly missed out on making the final, losing to China by just 2 points the night before. Nevertheless, it was said to be a fairy tale finish for Aussie legend Lauren Jackson, who retired from the sport following the 3rd place victory on Saturday. To the AFLW now, where a very one-sided showdown took place on Friday night. The Adelaide Crows proved to be too good for newcomers Port Adelaide, ending the game with a 60-point win. Port failed to score a single goal over 4 quarters, while the Crows went a second straight week without conceding a goal. Skipper Chelsea Randall was a standout, kicking 3 goals and winning the inaugural AFLW Showdown medal. The Crows' win did, however, come at the cost of Mackenzie Dowrick, who'll miss the rest of the season after suffering an ACL injury. The Crows will next play Freo on Saturday at Unley Oval, while Port will have a chance at redemption, taking on Hawthorn later that same day. And in international news, Daniel Ricciardo pulled off his best performance of the year, finishing 5th overall at the Singapore Grand Prix and 1 spot behind teammate Lando Norris. It was a chaotic race with rain, safety cars and 6 retirements working in Ricciardo's favour. The result comes just at the right time for the Aussie, who was dropped by McLaren mid-year to make room for young gun and fellow compatriot Oscar Piastri. Ricciardo's future in F1 remains uncertain, with Haas and Williams the only teams with spots open for the 2023 season. And that's all the news for this week. I'm Nina Smagic. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be right back after the break with more from the SA Sports Show.